whatever, stuff like that. If you can delay his push, that just means you're going to get more bears out, and the more bears you get out, the easier to defend the push. It's like a lot easier to defend the push with more bears. That's pretty much common sense. Now, at this stage in the game, it becomes a bit more difficult to harass, I suppose, because there's quite a few rifles, and all it really takes is focus fire on your Naga or your Demon Hunter, and you using up your staff a bit early or something. And HaNdFisH is doing he's doing a really good job of using the map against the human player. You want to try and wake up the creeps so that they'll attack his stuff. As you saw, he woke up the red creeps and he woke up the turtles just before, and he got a rifle kill for that. So he's doing a really great job of forcing the human player to follow him around and forcing him to play a bit risky and just stuff like that. So he's basically about to hit tier 3, and he's just getting some bears out now, and we're just seeing both players dancing around trying to really get their ideal units out, or waiting for the hero levels and stuff like that. Now, in a little fight like this, it's great to be focusing the riflemen, but if you can, try and focus the priests, because they have less health and they generally take more damage from dryads, which is, you'll have a couple like lying around at least, and just stuff like that. So we see this push coming towards HaNdFisH's base. He did a really great job of delaying it, and through that he's gotten some bears out. So we'll be seeing how HaNdFisH handles this push in a moment. One thing to pay attention to is what you research. It's nice to research the Moonwell upgrade at tier 3, because you end up getting I suppose a lot more. Your Moonwells end up packing a bigger punch. So just, that was a really random tip, but probably won't come in very useful in something like this. But yeah, so getting an orb is a great idea, and a very important one at that, because like, don't underestimate an orb. It's well worth the 300 gold. I'd still buy it if it was like, I'm sure many people would still buy it if it was worth, if it cost, say, 550 gold or 600 gold. It's really effective. Now, if you have an orb on your hero, what you want to be doing is you want to be focusing on his soft heroes. Now, blue lags here, so he ends up TPing out even though he uses the potion, although he would have ended up TPing out anyway, so it's not that big of a deal, because the DH and the Naga were in really nice position there. So while these two battle it out, and I'll just talk more about hero choices. Really, if you get a Naga, the reason you get a Naga is because, well, one, she's extremely effective, and it makes harassing a hell of a lot easier, and two, she has forked lightning, which is really effective against low health humans. And we see a pit lord. Alright, with the pit lord, what you want to be doing is you want to be focusing his rain of fire on clumped up units. You want to use him to keep the rifles moving. So you pick rain of fire and you use it on rifles. If the rifles keep moving, that means you're getting free hits on them, and if you're getting free hits on the rifles, then they're not dealing full damage. And if they're not dealing 100% of the damage that they would they'd normally be dealing, then that's good for you, because you're going to end up at an advantage because of that. So HaNdFisH is taking he's using his staff really effectively, and blue still hasn't gotten level 3, which is making things quite a bit easier for HaNdFisH, because using a lot of that Dryad mana becomes a bit of a pain, and also most of the time the Dryads won't have enough mana to constantly be dispelling the water elemental, so you're going to have to be using wisps at some stage. Alright, now we see a lot of red bears, and we see HaNdFisH's Moonwell's getting focused down. At this point, you just want to be buying time. You don't want to, and you want to put your bears in adept form, because mainly they regenerate twice the regular amount of mana that they would be regenerating in bear form, and I suppose they heal quicker. So if you aren't going to be using your bears, then put them in adept form and just leave them lying at the back of your base. So HaNdFisH is doing a really good job, and he's put up a lot of Moonwells at once. He's one of them just came up, and he's putting another 2 up right now next to his laws. The main reason for this is he can't fight blue at this point in the game. He just couldn't fight him. He won't be able to, because he's got too many rifles, and he's got too much he packs too much of a punch at this stage. So he just wants to get his Moonwells up for extra healing, and he wants to get them up so he can get those bears out. And he's just delaying at this point. He's just buying as much time as he can. So even if that AP doesn't do much damage, it still buys you time. Both players just running back and forth. That's what you want to be doing. And you human players, if you plan on rifle pushing, then I highly recommend you research attack upgrades on your rifles, because if you've got about 4 or 5 rifles and attack upgrade on them, it makes them pack quite a bit. Okay, assume you have 5 rifles and they're all dealing an extra 5 damage. That's an extra 25 damage per volley. They're gonna volley. They volley pretty damn often, so you're dealing quite a bit of damage. That's a lot of extra damage. It's 100 extra damage in 4 volleys against the bear. So that could either mean life or death, and a bear's only got 960 health anyway, so factor all that and you're dealing quite a bit of damage. Of course, then there's the whole armor reduction thing, and which makes it slightly less effective, but that's beside the point. Now, we see HaNdFisH focusing these arcane towers down. It's a really do or die thing, because if you don't focus them down, they're not dealing any damage, but they're kind of owning your bear's mana, and if they're owning your bear's mana, then they're not going to be able to rejuvenate and stuff, and when your bears aren't able to rejuvenate and aren't able to heal up, because it's going to cost like all of your Moonwell mana to heal it up. If you choose to heal it up at a Moonwell, then the problem arises that you have a hell of a lot of red bears. So we'll be seeing how HaNdFisH handles this relatively soon. So what you want to be doing as a human player is running back and forth until you can set up some good positioning. It'll be great to turn around and fight around here, because he can just focus down the bears and use those sorks to manually slow the bears and stuff. Most of the time you won't often want to have sorks with auto cast on unless you've got quite a few, like 4 or 5, and it's an 80 food fight, because being able to manually slow is extremely nice. 1, it saves all your sorks mana up, and 2, if you've got some rogue DH chasing you, then you're guaranteed to have some mana on your sorks, hopefully, to slow that DH. So HaNdFisH is forced to blow a TP here, and he loses a bear, but he gets most of the red ones away. And as I was saying before, having a lot of bears with red health is not much of a help to defending any kind of push. So what he's trying to do now is he's trying to get blue out of his base so he can hide his bears, or he can do something, and